it's your turn to
Oh, is it for me?
consider yourself fired.
Why are you winking at me?
Consider yourself fired.
Hello, and welcome to the JT and Drew Show. I'm JT,
And I'm Drew.
and we're two nobodies talking about nothing.
Consider yourself fired.
I came across an article today I'd like to talk about. The American Medical Association publishing gender-neutral birth certificates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And also, I've always had a question. How do you motivate yourself in life? You personally, I'll probably weigh in my 2 cents there, and hopefully we can get our guest speaker to talk
guest
about
speaker.
that. Yeah.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, man. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Yep, can't wait.
Hey, bud. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah, we got to make room for you on the schedule.
Yeah, that's a fat joke, isn't it? Consider yourself fired.
I can't stop looking at myself. I'm scared, Daddy. But the American Medical Association, or AMA, has published as far back as 16 June that birth certificates need to be gender neutral. Now, I was reading on... hang on, because I got to get my articles back up. I got a couple of them. Oh, no, I got them all.
Was this the WebMD?
Nah, not the two that I sent you. Hang on. Spectrum News NY1. This was published August 22nd, 21.
Oh, wow.
The report on this, and there's a few others, WebMD being one of them. Gender identity, however, is a person's own concept of themselves as male, female, a blend of both or neither. How individuals perceive themselves and what they call themselves. According to the Human Rights Campaign, the American Medical Association is recommended by the LGBTQ plus are advocating to remove the sex for public information on the birth certificates. Now, I have 3 kids. I don't see how putting male or female on a birth certificate, because later on in the article they talk about how this is going to limit them with opportunities in the future.
Right.
I don't see how that's possible, because you are who you are, and you're going to make yourself out to be who you're going to be, and you're going to be knowledgeable or you're not going to be knowledgeable. Now, if the company is not going to pay equal salaries, that's on the company. Maybe you as a person need to go strive to find a better job with a better company.
Well, and if the company is not going to pay an equal salary and you change your gender, does that mean that they're going to pay you now what someone who is that gender would get paid?
No, because if you're not going to get paid the salary up front between a man and a woman, because it's the only 2 genders out there, if you're not getting paid up front as a woman, what a man is getting paid, if you change your gender or sex or whatever the hell they want to call it, they're still going to keep your salary at the same level. You may or may not have the same experience level as, say, someone else who got hired on, or you may not be a good negotiator for your salary.
Yeah, true.
So companies are always going to lowball you.
Well, what I find interesting on the WebMD article that you were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
is it says that requiring the sex designation on the birth certificate could lead to discrimination, unnecessary burden on individuals whose current gender identity does not align with their designation at birth. Namely, when they register for school or sports, adoption, get married, or request personal records. The key part, or the key takeaway in my opinion, that jumps out at me first anyway, is the statement where they say individuals whose current gender identity does not align with their designation at birth. So they're still going to be designated with a sex at birth.
Correct.
But when they say current gender identity, you're leaving lots of room for, right now I identify as person A. In 4 or 5 years, I could identify as person B. Through whatever experiences I have in life after that, maybe now I feel like person C, or I go back to person A. Like they're trying to say that it's very fluid, right? It doesn't have to be so concrete. You're either A or B.
Right.
You can be any one of these things as who do you identify with?
Yeah.
But you're still going to have a designation. So it's almost like they have it to where, okay, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be, and we'll change the paperwork to say whatever, but we're still going to designate male or female. That's exactly what they're doing, actually, because it says here, again, on the WebMD article, a person's sex designation at birth would still be submitted to the U.S. Standard Certificate of Live Birth for medical, public health, and statistical use only. So you're still going to label them as male or female for medical, public health, and statistical use.
Correct.
But everything else, you get to choose what you want to be because that gives you the warm fuzzy, makes you feel better inside.
Right. Well, so right now, 48 out of 50 states are allowing you to, at birth, pick the gender for your child of whether it's male, female, or X. Now, I don't know what that means.
Well, but it says, though, that it allows them to amend their sex designation, again, male or female, on their birth certificate to reflect their gender identities.
Well, okay, now is there a difference between sex and gender?
According to this, yes. According to this, there's a difference between sex identity or gender identity and sex designation.
Okay, in your thoughts, is there a difference between gender and sex?
Off the top of my head, no. I'm going to say sex, male, female. Gender, man, woman.
Male, female.
Yeah.
So,
now, don't misunderstand. There are exceptions out there, right? Where somebody is born maybe a hermaphrodite.
okay.
Or, there's the gray area where it's like, okay, maybe they don't fall into this category or that category biologically speaking. Not, well, I was born a male, but I really identify with females and that's who I want to be. And I find myself, being more feminine and acting this certain way versus the stereotypical traditional male. So I'm going to label myself, my gender identity, as a female. I think that's completely different. If you are biologically different at birth, then there's obviously some middle ground. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. Yeah. So, like, if you have both parts,
yeah,
then you are sex X, according to the paperwork.
Okay.
According to the paperwork. So, what? I guess I just don't understand. What's the big deal? Like, I don't understand. I personally don't care what you are. If I'm going to hire you, I'm hiring you off your qualifications. I don't know.
Yeah, but when it comes into hiring as an example, and you look at hiring statistics, or we get government aid for having so many of this type of employee or that type of employee, because later on in that article it says assigning sex using binary variables in the public portion of the birth certificate fails to recognize the medical spectrum of gender identity.
Right.
And can be used to discriminate. So they're saying if you just put male or female, that could be used to discriminate later on in the workplace from the employer. Maybe this training is for males only, or maybe this type of promotion in this branch of the career field is for males only or females only. And if you don't identify as either or, then you're being discriminated against. We've kind of gone from one extreme to the other. The days of the employer just abusing the employee, and then they had to come up with a union to help the employees fight the system and have representation so that they could be treated equal and come up with labor laws and 40-hour work weeks and all this stuff are kind of on the other end of the scale now. Now it's not, hey, I'm an employer. I need somebody to come and work for me so that we can get X, Y, and Z done. Now you're having employees that go, well, I work for you, but you need me and I can't be replaced. So you will accommodate me to every terrorist demand that I have. If I want this, you had better give me that, or I'm going to sue you, or you'll have a lawsuit, or this, or that. There's a lot more of the employee taking advantage of the employer in many of these circumstances.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. You've got a point. I mean, I don't think I would use the word terroristic demands, but close to it. I mean, you're not wrong, though. I mean, per the definition, that's what's going on.
Well, and they don't say, you'll notice they never go into specifics. They just go into generalities. So, again, in that article from WebMD, it talks about the GLMA Health Professionals Advancing LGBTQ Equality, said that transgender and gender non-binary and individuals with differences in sex development can be placed at a disadvantage by the sex label on the birth certificate. Okay, but how? How are they going to be disadvantaged or not given the same opportunity when it comes to hiring or promoting or advancing in the company? Or I think a lot of that you can't use generalities, right? It's all going to be case by case.
Right.
Advancing in the military is going to be different than advancing at CC's Pizza. It's going to be different at advancing at
a Fortune 500.
Yeah. There's going to be different criteria. There's going to be different, applying for jobs in the civilian world. Some have degree requirements, some don't. Even in the military, you want to be an officer, there's a degree requirement for the most part.
Right. But
if you don't have that, then you're enlisted.
But as someone who hires people, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it is maybe good practice to, when you receive a resume, cover up the name and just go off of experience and degrees? Or just experience or, whatever's on the resume without looking at the name and going, oh, based off of what I see on the resume, this person would be a good candidate?
I don't think that really matters.
Well, obviously it's a problem.
I think to some people it may. But again, that would be a case by case, right? If I handed a resume of a black person to somebody who's an active member in the KKK that happens to be the CEO of company A, in their daylight job, well, yeah, there may be some bias there. I don't think, again, the average person who is doing the right thing is looking at it that way. Because if that's the case, then we also need to take out some of their credentials. Maybe they didn't have the same opportunity. So because JT has a certificate in this program and Denise doesn't, well, shoot, now that I know he has that, he's kind of more marketable. But maybe she didn't have the opportunity to get that certificate. So it's not fair. So I shouldn't use that as a factor when considering hiring him. Maybe she went to this Ivy League college and got her master's degree, but JT couldn't do that. He didn't have the same opportunity. Or he did, but he didn't go to the same level school that she did. He went to online school. Or she went to Harvard and he went to
Phoenix.
Texas Tech.
Dang it. What's wrong with Texas Tech?
Nothing, but when comparing it to Harvard, do you think the employer's going to go, oh, screw Harvard?
Texas
They're probably
Tech all the way.
Be, wow, this person, okay. If we're going to look at it with a discretionary lens, then and we're not going to look at the names, then we need to take the names off. We need to take the schools off. We need to take the GPAs off and look solely at what do you have experience-wise, person to person, that would contribute to this job in this position. And that's a lot of work that I don't think we're at that point where we're doing it that way.
Do you think it's just too much work, like for the employer to just kind of
Well, I don't think
tape
it's too much
over.
work for the employer, but I don't think they're getting these stacks of printed out resumes necessarily, especially now in the digital age where people are applying online. Is the system going to just compile this list of bullets, if you will, without names on it?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of online jobs, our sponsor is Indeed. It's not, but I wish it was.
Indeed, it is not.
Indubitably.
Indubitably so.
Okay, so I guess I just can't wrap my mind around it. Like, heading back to the original subject, why is it such a big deal to have a male and female on your birth certificate? Like, I don't understand that. I don't think in this day and age, with our generation coming up into quote unquote power, or we're going to be starting running things. We're in our 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the majority of the generation that we're in cares about what you are and what you identify as. They want to know, do you have the experience? Can you work on a team? Can you get the job done? I don't think they care if you're gay or bi or dress like a woman or whatever. I don't think they care, because I sure as hell don't. And if I was going to hire somebody, I sure as hell wouldn't. Can you work on my team? Can you get my company more profitable? That's what I care about.
I think that's the majority of folks, the majority of employers. Again, there are people out there that don't think that way and that would discriminate.
Right, and I'm not saying that there's not.
But I think that they are in the minority. However, the way that the issue is presented, they would have you believe the opposite. Hey, no, it's crazy out there. Everybody is discriminating on every little thing, and we need equal representation because it's so hard and da-da-da-da-da. But I don't really believe that it's like that. If anything, you get more advantages not being white and not being male. You have, the NAACP, you have LULAC, you have these women's programs, you have all these things and associations, programs, grants, whatever, set up for all these other minorities out there. But on this WebMD, you have medical doctor Robert Jackson, who is an alternate delegate from the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
he
one was good.
actually spoke against this.
Yeah.
And he said, which he brings up a very good point here, and it addresses that, if we're going to do this, basically you have to rewrite everything when it comes to their processes, procedures, the way they practice, all that stuff. Because he says, quote, "We as physicians need to report things accurately. All through medical school, residency, and specialty training, we were supposed to delegate all of the physical findings of the patient we're taking care of. I think when the child is born, they do have physical characteristics, either male or female, and I think that probably should be on public record. That's just my opinion," end quote.
Right. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your 1-year-old is sick with ovarian cancer, but yet you're saying that your 1-year-old's a boy, well, boys don't get ovarian cancer.
Well, it's like I was telling you earlier. I was watching this TikTok video, and there was this individual on there who was talking about how they're gender fluid and, they have all the different pronouns, and they were really hurting and in pain. And someone had asked, well, why are you in pain? It was a live chat, and the person told them that, they were cramping and their ovaries were hurting. But girls have that, boys don't. But this person got really upset when someone had called her out on that, saying, "Oh, okay, so you're a girl." Well, no, she's not a girl. She's not a boy. She's non-gender. She's, non-whatever, doesn't subscribe to any label. She's a no label.
I see what you did there. That was great.
So on this article, one of the other doctors that combats the idea that this other doctor said was, "We need to recognize that gender is not a binary, but a spectrum," she said. obligating our patients to jump through numerous administrative hoops to identify as who they are based on a sex assigned at birth, primarily on genitalia, is not only unnecessary, but actively deleterious to their health. So by you having to say, let me look at my pants. Okay, yeah, I'm a boy. That's not healthy.
No. Okay, so deleterious is creating harm. I think that was the definition of that one, because I had to Google it myself. So actively creating harm to their health. How does being a girl or a boy put harm to your health when you go, look, listen, I was born a woman. I still have all my women parts, but I just identify as a man. However, I need women health because stuff's getting real down there and I'm itchy or it's hurting.
But I think a lot of it comes from the victim mentality.
Yeah, who's a victim?
I'm not trying to put people in a bubble per se or all in a group. But when you have folks that, are professional victims and the system is out to get them in every way, shape, or form, there's no way it's positive. Because this doctor goes on to say, at one point, the race of a person's parents used to be included on the public portion of the birth certificate, and that information was recognized to sometimes lead to discrimination. My point, though, is you're taking something that they were requiring on the form to be filled out,
mm-hmm.
and now you're saying that, well, there may have been cases, who knows how many, where somebody misused this information to discriminate. But instead of saying it that way, they're saying, oh, well, this information was used sometimes to hurt people, and now they've taken it off, so that's much better. So we need to do the same thing with sex, because this information can be used to discriminate against the person.
So,
well, yeah, anything can be used to do anything. If you put your address down on a form, it could be used for someone to come and rob you. Does that mean you never put your address down? Or
it could be to discriminate you because you live in a lower income neighborhood. Did I hit the nail on the head right there?
And only you
can prevent forest fires. So here's a topic that I think would be pretty interesting. It may or may not get into this episode or kind of make it its own thing. But I would like to talk about how you get motivated to do things in life. Whether it be a small project or whether it be a next business adventure or motivate yourself to get up and deal with me in the morning. Motivation. What motivates you?
Caffeine.
You're singing my kind of music. I'm gonna drink my sweet tea. So motivation on your part. You are married.
Yes.
And how long have y'all been together?
We have been married now just a little over 6 years.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still alive, so...
That's all that matters.
That doesn't mean that I'm doing anything right. That just means...
You haven't done something stupid enough for her to kill you.
Well, she's probably just, got this long methodical plan of how to do it.
She is a doctor. We'd like to welcome our special guest. Hello.
Hey.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Kathleen Villarreal. I am Andrew's wife.
How many years?
Of 6 years.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so...
It was challenging, I'm not going to lie.
Of course it is. We are talking about Drew.
She just means that I keep things interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what she means.
You could say that.
So I was asking Drew, what motivates you to stay married that long?
Daddy pays the bills.
We made vows to each other. And, obviously, neither one of us took those vows lightly. We love each other very much, and we choose each other every day, even on the hard days.
Yeah.
Even on the days where I want to light them on fire.
Yeah. Oh, hey, there's one way to do it.
I told you she was thinking about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's been thinking about this for a while. So, all right, cool. What is one of your motivations in life for pretty much anything? Waking up in the morning, headed off to work, doing your doctorly things.
Well, I mean, for me, being a Christian is the driving force in my life, and really that's my relationship with Jesus. And, you know, if I didn't have that, honestly, it'd be pretty hard to cope in this world. That's my motivation, is to help other people, to be a light to other people, a witness, so that they can, you know, have that relationship with the Lord like I do. And I just, to fulfill my God-given purpose in life. And I look at my doctoring, my speech therapy, I look at that as a ministry. So I try to take the opportunity to listen, to see, you know, maybe there's something that God wants to say to my patients, or, you know, maybe I need to take the time to pray with them and minister to their family. And luckily I have a job where you can get fulfillment from helping people. But
Right.
if you were something just like any other kind of job where you weren't necessarily being able to help people like that, it's like, what are you then? You know, what's your purpose if you can't, I guess, in order for your purpose to have more meaning than just going about your mundane daily activities.
Well, you're definitely a caregiver type, and you find a lot of fulfillment and joy, and I think that's how you get your cup filled from helping people. And like you said, whether it's just strictly work related, or if there's ministry involved, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. And I guess what I was trying to say is, like, luckily I have a job where I feel like I get to do that, you know, more easily, I guess. And I work in a hospital where I can, you know, legally, like, pray with people. It's a Christian hospital and everything. But even if I didn't have that, that would still be my driving force. I would still want to make that my priority, is listening to the Lord, what he would have me do for each day with the people that I interact with. So
Awesome. So you would say your biggest factor of motivation would be faith-based.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
And that's what motivates you.
For sure.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming on for a little bit. Unless, Drew, you have any questions for our special guest?
Well, just to clarify, I would be a pretty close second to motivating you. Is that what you were saying too? I know we didn't have much time to get to that topic.
I don't think that's what she said at all.
Yeah. Well, we'll just allude to that. You know, we're just pressed for time on this episode, unfortunately. But, yep.
I would say one of the things that motivates me to get out of bed in the morning is the smell of Drew's breath.
Oh, hey-o. There it is. That's great.
Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Of course, yeah. More than welcome to come on anytime you want. Just give us a call. We'll make sure we get you in the schedule.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it was great. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's super late. What is a motivational factor? And I know it's hard. I guess I'll go first, and maybe you can kind of feed off me or whatnot.
Okay.
What motivates me is the drive to experience something new, or the feeling of discovering new things that are potentially going to make my life. Well, okay, now that's kind of self-centered. But yeah, my life a little better. I'm not a genius by any means at all. However, I have been doing research on what would be the best way to grab carbon monoxide out of the atmosphere, right? I'm not...
Fart in a jar.
I'm not... and bury the jar. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, or I'm not super into the whole global warming, we're all going to die thing. So I sit here and I think about stuff like that, and that motivates me to keep going and doing what I'm currently doing. So what motivates me is to discover new things, or read about people who have discovered new things or whatnot. Also, as a parent, my kids motivate me, right? Motivation for the kids. And I don't ever really think, how can I better my life that my kids can have stuff that I didn't have when I was growing up. You always want things that are better for your kids. You always want to make their life a little better than what you had. However, I didn't have a super bad life, and I'm thankful for the parents that I did have and the way they brought me up in this world. And tried to just keep what they taught me in the teachings that I teach my kids. So that motivates me to be a good person. I have faith, but I don't have a religion as a backbone or a stepping stone or whatever in what motivates me, as we just heard from our special guest. But I know a lot of people do, and that's okay, and that's great, and I get excited when people can use that as a stepping stone for what motivates them. It's just not a motivating factor for me.
Yeah, well, and you've had negative, experiences in the past and whatnot, and
right.
Unfortunately, people are people, and
exactly,
they can sometimes ruin an experience for you. When
that isn't supposed to be ruined. When you have questions or you want to know something more, you shouldn't be thrown out of a church. I'm just gonna say it. So, but it's always nice to not have the fear to continue to ask that question, or to continue to ask questions. And I go to church, which is really good, and it's putting me back in what I think is a better mindset. Because you know that I had it's been a few weeks ago, I had a decision that I had to make, and you came to the back, and I had the baby, and you had asked me if I was okay, and I told you about it, and I was like, I'm just coming here for answers. I think having faith is different than saying that, oh yeah, I'm religious, blah,
Oh yeah, I think faith and and religion are two different things. I think faith is just that. It's faith. It's something that you, and really only you as a person, can understand.
Mm-hmm.
I can have faith, you can have faith, my wife can have faith, all these different people can have faith, but I understand what that means for me.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what that means for you.
Exactly.
And that's your own journey, your own road. Religion is man-made. Religion is the rules, and you got in trouble, so say this prayer 10 times and you'll be forgiven. Or, you need to do this in order to, do these many good works, and then you can go to heaven if you're on your best behavior. All that stuff, man-made religion.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with faith.
Right.
But unfortunately, they get intertwined, and the assumption is that they're one and the same.
Yeah.
When you peel back the layers, you can kind of, oh wow, okay, this is what this is, that's what that is. There's a bunch of people, and people are flawed, and
Exactly. You if you take the person out of the equation, it becomes perfect.
Again, in any organization, whether it's a church or a restaurant or wherever we work, or when we were in the military or whatever,
mm-hmm.
there are going to be people in leadership positions, or people that are running the show, or people that are fill in the blank, that have no business being in those positions.
Mm-hmm.
People are not perfect.
No.
People make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Some people grow from them. Some people don't.
Yeah. So,
but I would peg you as as far as motivation, what motivates you, me looking at you from the outside in,
mm-hmm. Go ahead,
as a knowledge seeker. Like you were saying, you're looking at
I got a
carbon
story
dioxide
for you.
and all that. You are someone that, not that you're like, oh, there's JT, he's always on something different. not that kind of like knowledge seeker, but hey, like you said, I want to figure out how to help out in this situation, so let me do the research and let me try doing the science on it. Or, oh, hey, my kids want to learn about geology, so let's go get some stuff, learn about it, and figure out, well, how do we crack these rocks open? Or what do we dig for? Or how do I fall off a shovel?
I was about to say, let's dig a hole in the backyard.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're correct. I absolutely have to. I have to know about things before I talk about things, and the only way you're going to know about things is if you do the research and put yourself in the situation. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting perspectives, and there's really no wrong answer here. You have to find what your why is, what motivates you, what gets you up and going. At the end of the day, that's going to be the perspective that you hold on to and keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the sense of military terms, everybody's a special snowflake, so you got to find out what's right for you.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm full of ideas. You just got to tap into them,
I'm afraid to tap into so much natural gas.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for today. I'd like to say thank you to Kathleen, our special guest.
Shout out.
Heyo, for coming in and letting us know what motivates her. Again, we're all different. So
I have a name, and I'm sitting right across from you.
Yeah. So until next time, hope to hear from you again. No, I don't. As always, we'd like to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we realized that you could have been doing anything way more productive, but you chose to waste your time with us.
We look forward to talking about absolutely nothing with you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at
jtandrewshow@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/JTDrewShow.